Hey there guys, how's it going, and welcome to another episode of Is It Any Good? This is going to be Need for Speed, the new Need for Speed that just came out. This is a series that I'm doing every now and then. A new game comes out. Maybe I'm not going to do a ton of videos about it, but some of you might want to hear my impressions, and especially I thought with this one you might, because I did get it a couple of days early. This game's not out in the UK, I think, till the end of the week, so it's one that I definitely thought a lot of you might want to know my thoughts on it and give you a general summary of if you should be getting it, what kind of person is going to enjoy this, what are the pluses, negatives, all that jazz. I'm also going to be answering some of the questions that you guys asked me on Twitter, and I'll get to that at the end of the video, but I'll go through the positives, the negatives, and how it could improve, and then my general impressions. So first of all, let's talk about the gameplay and the cars I've used, the experience I've had. I've done about 20% of the campaign's missions at the moment. Overall, I think I've done about 10% of everything you can do in the game. So just to start off, there is a lot of content in this game. It could be a little bit repetitive. There does seem to be like 5 or 6 different types of things you can do. You just continue to do them. They do get harder, but I have found already I'm starting to find a point where I can't do the challenges first time I try. It's taken me 2, 3, sometimes even 4 or 5 attempts to do a race, you know, beat a time trial and whatever. So the cars that I've got at the moment, I chose the Honda Civic, I think, at the beginning. Then the next car I went for was the Mitsubishi Evo, and then after that I've bought myself a Dodge Viper because I wanted to do the drifting challenges, and obviously the Mitsubishi Evo isn't really very good at that, and you have to do the drifting challenges to complete everything. So I ended up buying a Dodge Viper, which I thought would be good for drifting. But one thing I didn't realise actually is that you can almost tune a 4-wheel drive car so that it does drift quite well using the tuning settings. I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, like tuned a 4-wheel drive car to be able to drift, but it seems to work in this game, and it's a way that you don't have to buy a new car all the time. So let's talk about the good stuff, and the good stuff is going to, I suppose, mix into what you're seeing at the beginning here, and it's the customization. Customization is there as you would expect. Pretty much everything you could ever want, all the tuning options you could ever want. You can take off all the assists and stuff like that, and you can put whatever you want on your car. All the colors, everything you would expect is there. The wraps, the decals. A couple of things seem to be missing for me. The option to save things and then send them to friends. You can save your, I suppose, your decals and your paint job as a whole, but you can't seem to like save one side of what you've done and then paste it on the other side. Maybe you can. I couldn't see that, but there does seem like there's just a few things missing that maybe they'll flush out that they could have included with that. But loads of customization. There is a bit of a lack of tires, or sorry, rims even. I saw there was probably about 60 or 70 rims, maybe even less than that, but already after doing 2 or 3 cars I've run out of choices of rims. Really, you've got, I would say, 10 to 20 sport style ones, and a lot of the rest of them are just either boring looking or maybe meant for muscle cars, stuff like that. So a little bit of a lack of selection there, and a lack of selection in some of the options, but all the customization is there what you want, and especially impressive all the tuning options, which you're not always used to with a Need for Speed game. The second thing that I think you guys want to know the most that I should talk about in the beginning of the video is how does it handle? What's the handling like? Is it arcadey? Is it sim-like? Basically, this is quite an arcadey game. For the most part, on normal settings, if you keep on all the assists and stuff like that, you're not going to need to let go of accelerate that much. You can pretty much keep accelerate down and then tap the brake as you round corners. It's a really hard corner, you hold brake down for a few seconds as you turn. If it's a smaller corner, or one that's not quite severe, you just tap it and then drift around it a little bit. And it is a game where it does, I suppose, reward drifting. You get extra points for drifting. Drifting doesn't seem to slow you down during corners, so as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, that basically means this is through and through an arcadey race game, but it's Need for Speed. I'm sure that's what you're expecting. It'll be a little bit weird if it was more simulation based. So you can have a lot of fun just speeding around the streets, but if you are expecting simulation, this isn't the game for you, or this isn't what you're looking for, although you can turn some of the assists off, which makes it a little bit more challenging. But to be honest, who would do that? I don't know. Why not just go play a racing sim? Now, another thing in the good that at first I thought was a bad, but it's the campaign. These kind of at first cringy live action cutscenes, I suppose. They have these few characters, and the script's a bit, I don't know, awkward, and it doesn't seem like it's a bit of a weird world that they're in. But the first 5 or 6 cutscenes, I was like, oh, who are these guys? This is just a joke. It's annoying. But after like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I actually wanted to watch the cutscenes, which I don't even really do in a game like this. But because this is different, you know, it uses real actors, it does make it interesting. I don't know, you just kind of want to see what they're going to say next, even if you know it's going to be a bit of a cringe fest. I found it kind of fun. So at first I thought that was a bit of a negative, but really it does add a little something, and I do actually want to find out what happens next with those characters. So I think that's a plus point. At first of all, it was a negative, but it's a plus really. Also, as you'd expect from a Need for Speed game, it is extremely well polished. You can see from the gameplay, it does run at 30 frames, which isn't ideal, and obviously, hopefully, PC is going to be able to run at 60 plus. So if you're a frames per second monkey, you're probably going to want to wait to get this on PC. If you kind of can get around that, it's absolutely fine. Looks beautiful. The rain effects are superb. You can tell they spent a lot of time on that because it's always raining. The floor is always wet, or if not wet, it's like nearly wet and a little bit of drizzle on your car all the time, but it looks good, so you can't really argue with that. So overall, it is a fun, I suppose, arcadey style experience, and those of you also wondering, is it like the old Need for Speed Undergrounds? I wouldn't say it was so much, felt like a sequel of Need for Speed Undergrounds, the old ones. And some people say, does it feel like Most Wanted? Does it feel like this one, that one? It's a little bit of a mix of all of them, but you can tell it takes the most influences from Underground. I wouldn't say it feels like a true successor, but it does take influences from that. And every now and then you'll get little glimpses of like camera angles and the music, and you'll think, oh, it feels a little bit like I'm playing that old school Underground game. One trick I think they've actually missed with that is there's no real like early 2000s hip hop, which was in the first one a lot, and it really added to the atmosphere of that game. I mean, obviously times have moved on, like that style of hip hop isn't as popular now. A lot of the music in here is EDM and a little bit of the Weeknd stuff like that, which I guess is the most popular stuff at the moment, but it would be nice to see a little bit more of that just to add to the nostalgia factor and make it feel a little bit more like a Need for Speed Underground title. So let's go over some of the negative things, or things I think this game should or could improve on. First of all, there is a lack of actual, I suppose not content, things to do, but like I said, the rims, there's not that many rims. There doesn't seem that many tuning options in terms of the actual visual looks of the cars. Also, the major negative, a lot of people are saying there is a lack of cars in this game. Now, obviously, this is modern gaming. A lot of the time, you can presume they're going to be adding car packs into the game, which is a shame. You know, these full retail price games really should come with a huge amount of cars in them. This is a car game. You're going to want that variety, and it almost forces you into using cars that you wouldn't normally want to use just to add a bit of variety to the game, instead of just being able to use loads of different sports cars you've dreamed about. This is EA, and I'm sure it does cost a lot to get the licensing for some of these, I suppose, more luxurious car brands especially, but this is Electronic Arts. We know they've got the money. If any company is going to be able to splash the cash on getting some official licensed cars, it should be EA. So I don't know if there's big DLC planned. It would be a shame if there is a lot of cars but they're DLC, but as it is, there is definitely a bit of a lack. You don't really notice it at first, but I was just looking through the car list as it is right now, and I was thinking, you know what, in a couple of days I could basically have every car that I could want, instead of just having loads and loads of cars, and that just really adds to the longevity of the game. But the cars that are in there are pretty good, the ones you would expect and all that, but definitely what I would say one of the issues in the game. Another thing, there is no real pause option. This seems to be an always online game. If the Need for Speed servers go down, you can't play, which seems ridiculous because most of the time it didn't feel like I was playing multiplayer. I mean, yeah, there were apparently other players driving around in my city, but I didn't care or even really know about it. So why am I being forced into this kind of multiplayer experience that I don't particularly want, and that I'm having just as much fun without it? Obviously, it makes sense to have some kind of multiplayer thing going on, but if the servers go down, then just take those cars out of the world. It shouldn't be a case that I can't play Need for Speed if I'm not online. It's kind of strange, that one. Going along with that, the no pause thing, something's quite annoying is the phone goes off constantly, and it's this really annoying vibration sound. Obviously, any of you that have used your phone to wake you up in the morning and have had it on that vibration setting, it really grates me, that vibrating phone sound, and to have it constantly happening in the game is really, really distracting, and it's just not pleasurable. I'd much prefer if you could either change it, or, I mean, maybe you can turn it off. I couldn't see if you can, but if you can turn it off, fair enough. But as it is, it's very annoying, and it happens all the time, and it especially happens while you're in the middle of a race, which is ridiculous. Why something would be distracting you in the middle of a race, and you kind of want to answer it because you want the buzzing to stop. So that is something that I found quite annoying, but if you can turn that off, that's great. If not, I don't know why they overlooked that option. So overall with this game, I'd say if you're into Need for Speed, you're into racing games, it's a must buy. If you're not and you're looking for something to really blow you away, this might not do it. There doesn't seem to be anything crazily original about the actual world itself. It does feel like a lot of other games when you're just driving around, but then again, if it didn't feel like that, it wouldn't really feel like a Need for Speed game. I don't know. You can never please everyone, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more originality, and I think it's that mixed with the fact that there's not that many cars in the game. Some of the customization is limited is what stops this from going to like an 8, 9 or 10 out of 10 game. It could have definitely got there with some more features and some attention paid with some other things. It looks incredible. It's a fun arcadey experience. The single player thing is kind of cool as well, but I can understand why it's not getting amazing reviews. It's definitely a purchase for me. I'm a car fan. It's a game that I would definitely buy. If I hadn't have bought it, I would definitely have liked someone to have recommended this to me as something to buy, but obviously you've just got to base it off what you see, guys, and what you hear. But I would probably give it a 7 out of 10, but it's frustrating because it's not far off being that 8 or 9. It just needed a few more things, and if they come out with all the DLC cards and stuff like that, then sure, that does make the game better, but I'm rating the game as it is now without all the extra added stuff that you might have to buy or updates. I mean, if they bring in updates for free, that would be amazing, and that would push up the score a little bit. Extra tuning options, extra cars, but as it is, it's a 7 out of 10 for me, but I would recommend it. It is fun. It does look cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. Don't forget to smash that like button if you did, and I'll see you guys next time.